Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. I just got off work, which means it's time for me to make the video. I don't mind going to work. It's usually pretty chill and cool. But at the same time, I was looking forward to making this video because there were some comments last video and you guys suggested me to make a video about my prediction for the starting lineup for the Aggies this season. I obviously don't know what it's going to be, but I have an idea of what it could possibly be. I'm just going to go right into it. So first things first, last year our starting point guard for most of the season was Jalen Jackson-Posey. There were some games he came off the bench whenever, he was hurt for a little bit, missed about 6 games, which honestly, we had a stretch during the season where we were 6-3, and most of those games Jalen didn't play, and then when he came back we started losing, so we kind of played better without him. He was a great player for us, so it was nothing, horrible. It was just funny how that worked. There was moments during the seasons too when we only had like 7 or 8 guys healthy, and we seemed to play better with just those group of guys. And whenever we came back from injuries, we weren't as successful. And I feel like they built a better bomb when it was only the 7 or 8 of them. But now that we have a team of 13 guys, hopefully they're not going to be fully healthy the whole season, but hopefully they can stay as healthy as possible and be great. Deontay Bostic is a guy who I'm assuming will be our starting point guard. I made a video on him almost about a week ago now, which is crazy how time flies so fast. I think he'll be our starting point guard, and I think he's going to be a great upgrade. Again, Jalen was a great point guard for us. Worked really hard, was, a pretty decent scorer, played well on the defensive end as well. But I don't think he's even half the player Deontay is. I think Deontay's going to be a really great player for us. It'll be a guy who's going to be a double-digit scoring machine. Probably average closer to 20 a game, hopefully. Be a great player in Conference USA. And I think he has a chance to be Conference USA Player of the Year. And so obviously if he has a chance to be Conference USA Player of the Year, then he's going to more than likely be our starting point guard. When it comes to our starting shooting guard, Christian Cook was our starting shooting guard last year. He led the team in scoring. He was our best shooter, arguably our best player, one of our hardest workers too, and a leader in general. So there's no doubt in my mind he'll be starting again. I'd find it really weird if he didn't start again. He had to mess up really bad or do something to piss Coach Hooten off badly if he wasn't going to start again this year. So no doubt in my mind, Christian Cook and Deontay Bostic will be in the backcourt for us this season. And those are guys who are going to both average double digits in scoring. If I had to assume, I would say Deontay's, like I said, going to be a guy who probably won't average 20, but over average just under that, about 17 or 18 a game, hopefully. And then Christian Cook's probably a guy who can average 10 to 12 a game, averaged about 11 last year. So in that range is what I expect Christian Cook to average. Hopefully he can continue to work hard on defense and improve on that end as well. Robert Carpenter is another guy we're going to be having back, and he started most of the season. There was a couple games he didn't start. Then obviously we didn't have him for the majority of the rest of Conference USA after he got he couldn't play the rest of the season. He was suspended and all that because of that punch he threw at that Liberty game. But fortunately for us, we have him back. Maybe him throwing that punch kind of scared away teams from not wanting him. I don't think he ever entered the portal, or I don't know if he had thoughts of it, but maybe even if he did, nobody would want him because of that. Because he's a great player, has the chance. He was honestly a high-level basketball player. I wouldn't be surprised if he ever played Power 5 basketball somewhere. But I'm glad that we have him, and he's going to be starting, in my opinion, I think, for sure. I'm trying to remember. I don't think he started the start of the season. But after a couple games, he was in the starting lineup for the majority of the games. He didn't start that last game against Liberty, but he started the majority of them. So no doubt in my mind that he'll be starting for us again. Jaden Harris is another guy. He kind of floated between the starting lineup and the bench and all that. I don't know if he'll be starting this year because we have Peter Filipovity. I can't say his last name. I think I'm pronouncing it really bad. So if anybody knows how to pronounce that, please let me know in the comment section. But we're just gonna say Peter for the sake of this video. I think him and Robert are gonna be the forwards. Small forward, power forward, not sure which one will play which. I think Robert might have a little bit more strength, but I'm not sure. Robert can stretch the floor a little bit better, so maybe Peter will play the power forward. He'll be more in the paint. I'm not too sure. But I think those two guys will be playing the 3 and 4, maybe vice versa, whatever. I'm sure Jaden will start some games here and there, but more than likely, I think Peter and Robert will be the 3 and 4 for the majority of the season. Now, when it comes to the 5, the center position, that's a really hard one for me to pick. I feel like the guards and the forwards, I think there's a pretty good chance I think those will be the guys that will be starting for us. If not, it'll be like I said, maybe even Jaden Harris will be in there a little bit, or even Zadie Jackson for a little bit, who I made a video on yesterday, which you guys should go check out, and the Deontay Bostic video, go check those out. I think we're going to have some pretty decent posts, or centers, whatever you want to call them, bigs. Emmanuel, Nate Shimanga, the brothers. There's Edwin Namoko. I don't know, it's hard to say who's going to be starting out of those guys. We have big guy Chris coming back from last year. I just say big guy Chris because we have Christian Cook. I don't want you guys to get confused. And I can't say Chris's last name, so I'm just going to call him big guy Chris. Again, if you guys know how to pronounce his name, let me know in the comment section because I'm not great at pronouncing a lot of names. I can know most of their first names pretty well. The last names are really hard to pronounce. Like Femi Udukali last year, I didn't know how to pronounce his last name until the season started. I thought it was like Udukal or something like that. I talked to him a couple times before the season started. I knew his name was Femi. I go, "What's up, Fem?" But I didn't want to ask him what his last name was. I felt like that was kind of weird. But people, like I said, pronounce my last name wrong too. So I guess I'm just returning the favor with not knowing how to say last names correctly. If I had to guess right off the bat, I would say Emmanuel, just based on the stats and then watching a little bit of the highlights. Emmanuel seems like he's the best player, but again, I've never seen him play live in action. So if I had saw that, I have a better idea. I know it was like a six-man club, in Las Cruces, and a lot of times they're able to see the team in action and all that, so they probably have a better idea who's going to be starting than me, especially at the center position. But if I had to assume, I would say Emmanuel. He had a couple years ago, he averaged 7 and 6 in about 18 minutes a game, 19 minutes a game. Then last year, he averaged 4 and 5 in about, I think it was, how many minutes did he play? About 14 minutes a game. So he's pretty productive. So hopefully, he can come in and be successful. But I think all our posts and centers are going to be great regardless of who starts and who doesn't start. It really just depends too. Like, this is already went through it all. I think point guard's going to be Deontay Bostic, shooting guard Christian Cook, small forward Robert Carpenter, power forward Peter. Again, those could go either way. And maybe even Jaden Harrison there, but I would assume Peter and Robert will be the 3 and 4. And then let's say it's Emmanuel, who I'm going to guess. If I had to make a decision, I had to guess for my life. That's who I would say, Emmanuel Shamanga. God forbid, let's say one of them gets injured or hurt or something like that, and then they can't play, maybe his brother Nate starts or maybe Edward starts. But if they're fully healthy by the time the season starts, which hopefully they are because last season they weren't, that's what I would guess the starting lineup would look like on November 4th, which is opening day. I know opening day is always on Monday, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be the 11th or the 4th because sometimes it always falls on the, usually it'd be like the first Monday, but I didn't know if it was going to fall to the second Monday. But I don't know where I saw it. I saw somewhere where it's supposed to be the 4th for all of Division I college basketball. So not sure who we're going to play. Probably won't know who we're going to play. Probably won't know our schedule until late September. That's usually when it comes out. It's when it's come out the past couple of years since I've been an Aggie fan. Another thing I want to say about Emmanuel that makes me think that he might be an impactful starter for us. I remember when I posted about him, Terriante Thomas, who's one of the assistant coaches for the Aggies, was commenting on that and saying how happy he is to have Emmanuel on the team and how valuable he's going to be to us. And they're all going to be valuable to us, but that's the one that he mentioned right off the bat. So that makes me think that there's a good chance that he will be starting for us. But yeah, those are the 5 I would say. Again, Deontay, Christian, Peter, Robert, and Emmanuel. If I had to guess, those would be our starting 5. But again, I'm not the coach. I'm not there all the time. I've seen obviously Christian and Robert play, obviously from last year. But Deontay, I've never seen him play in person. But I'm just assuming with how good of a player he is, there's no doubt in my mind he'll start. Again, kind of like Christian, I think he would have to do something really wrong or bad for him not to start. He'd have to piss coaching off a lot for him not to start, or do something completely wrong, or just forget how to play basketball. So there's no doubt in my mind if he's going to be starting more than likely. And the past couple of years, I've done a pretty decent job at getting the starting lineup because that's actually something I thought about with my friends. Last year, I wasn't expecting Cook to start. I didn't know how great of a player he was, and he turned out to be one of our best players, if not our best player. So that was when I got wrong. I wasn't expecting him to start. Monty Jackson actually started the first game of the season for us last year against Kentucky. I don't think Robert started that game, but he became a starter, and I was kind of expecting him to get into that role because he averaged 16 points at a different school before he came to us. It was another Division I school in Mississippi, I want to say. I could be way off. I cannot remember. I assumed Jalen was our starting point guard because he had been coming off the bench for a couple of years and done a really great job as a 6-man. Was even 6-man of the year in the WAC, I think his freshman year. So I knew he was going to, probably be a starter for us, with a rebuilding team. I knew Casey was going to start because I had talked to Coach Hoonan about it and how great of a player Casey was going to be and how great of a leader he was going to be. So I was assuming with him being a leader that he was going to start. I guess I should have known because Coach Hoonan did say that Christian Cook surprised him with how good he was doing. So maybe I should have known that he was going to probably start for us. It was kind of funny because right after that interview with Coach Hoonan, I saw Christian Cook right away. But I didn't know who he was at the time, but now I do. I obviously knew of him. I just didn't know him personally until a couple months later. The year prior to that, the Hazen year, I predicted the lineup pretty good. I think everyone that started, I pretty much had starting. I had Mike Peake starting, and obviously you guys know what happened with that, and then obviously the whole Hazen year. I know I discussed that here and there in the videos. I need to stop talking about it, honestly. I just mention it when it's useful in times like this when I'm trying to explain certain things, like about the starting lineup and how I've predicted it pretty well the past couple of years. Then before that, I didn't really keep up with the Aggies because I didn't know what school I was going to go to. Obviously, I'm going to rep the school I was going to go to. There was always a chance I went to a different school, but I'm glad I ended up at NMSU. I was going to go to a school in New Mexico for sure, just didn't know where. I did apply to UNM, I know, not probably the greatest thing, but I had to apply to in-state schools. That was going to be the best for me. But just to let you guys know, I did not want to go there. I just applied there just as an option. I was always set on going to NMSU. I also applied to some other schools around the state. I was even going to apply to UTEP just because it was in the area and it might have been easier. And I used to live in El Paso. It's a 100% acceptance rate, so pretty easy to get in. But they don't have journalism, and that's my major, which will make this make sense because I'm talking about basketball. I love to write about basketball. Want to create something great with this. So yeah, that's who I think is going to be starting for us this year. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section, who you guys think has a good chance of starting. I think it's a pretty good list. I'm not trying to, brag on myself or anything like that, but I think it's pretty ideal. I think that's probably what it's going to look like. Again, the only thing I'm really not too sure about is the centers. I'm not too confident in who's going to start. But the 1 through 4, I'm pretty sure that's who's going to be starting for us. And again, the starting lineup's not going to be the same every single game. That's not how college basketball works. That's not how basketball works in general. There's injuries. There's times where a coach wants to change up a lineup. There might be times where we want to go small, go big, whatever it may be. Zadi, who I made a video on, from yesterday, is a great scorer. There might be games where he needs to start, or might be games where, let's say, Christian Cook's in a slump. Maybe we put Zadi in the starting lineup for a couple games or something. But we'll see how that all goes. I think Zadi's going to be a great player for us, dating back the last video. Something I did want to mention about that really quick, because I forgot to mention it in the last video. Because I think people might, be questioning, like, oh, how is Zadi gonna, make the transformation from a Division 1 or Division 2 school to a Division 1 and still have a really great impact? Well, Christian Cook probably had a better impact on a Division 1 team than he had at the Division 2 level. I think he averaged about 14 points per game where he was at, then averaged about 11 for us. So he made the transition from Division 2 to Division 1 just fine. And, it's crazy how one of our best players, again, arguably our best player, came from the Division 2 level. So there's no doubt in my mind that Zadi can do the exact same thing. There's no way for me to really know what the starting lineup is exactly going to be. But again, if I had to guess, that's what I would say. And I think a lot of Aggie fans would agree. I think it's a pretty respectable, starting lineup prediction. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Another thing, too, is comment what videos you guys want to see, because I wasn't planning on making a video like this, but it's what you guys wanted to see, and here you guys go. So if there's any other videos you guys want to see, let me know. No guarantees I'll make the video right off the bat, but if it's a video, I'll more than likely make it, if you guys want to see that, because obviously I want to make content that you guys are going to like. It's going to, help engage the audience more, help get more views and likes, and something that you guys are going to enjoy watching. If I am completely wrong with the starting lineup, I apologize. Like, when the season starts and the starting lineup is completely different than what I said, I don't want you guys to come here and be like, yo, you don't know anything, just, a little fun prediction. Another thing, too, I want to mention before the video ends, actually, first things first, if you guys are seeing different angles, that's because I was already done filming the video, but I want to add this part in really quick. I want to add a couple parts in, so that's why you're seeing a slightly different angle, but I honestly like this angle better. The other one's a little bit, makes me look, I don't know how to describe it, but I'm sure you guys notice the difference. I'm going to try to stick with this angle. I think this is the best one to do. Obviously, you guys know my predictions on the starting lineup, but I think Zadi and Jaden Harris are going to be great guys coming out of the bench. I think they're going to be great leading the bench unit, assuming they come out the bench. They could obviously, always start some games too. But let's say they do end up coming out the bench, hypothetically, as like a 6th and 7th man. I think those guys are going to be able to lead the bench great. We have some couple freshmen as well. I think they're going to be able to lead those guys great. Jaden's going to be returning. He knows Coach Huden's system pretty well. Well enough for him to want to return and come back, which means hopefully he can do some great things for us. He averaged about 7 points a game last year, a little over 7 points a game. Hopefully he can come back and, improve on that. We do have a slightly better team from last year, I believe, so maybe his stats will be somewhere around the same, but hopefully he can just come in and impact winning on a high level. And Zadi's going to be a guy who, again, could hopefully be a great scorer off the bench for us. So I think having those two guys, having great scorers off the bench, is going to really help out our team overall. I do think that's going to close out the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's a quicker one, but I want to get straight to the point, and that's how I want to make most of these videos, get straight to the point, but I still want them to be a good length so you guys have something good to watch. I do notice I do talk fast a lot of times. That's just how I am. Again, I'm trying to talk slower, trying to work on that, but it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to just be able to talk a lot slower out of nowhere, but hopefully we can get there soon, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out.